Hello, hello. Welcome into this space, everyone. We are so excited that you are here today. If you would please go ahead and drop in the chat and say hello to us all and let us know where you're zooming in from. I am zooming in from Atlanta, Georgia, ATL, the 404, and I'm excited to be here. Excited. All right, beautiful Montana. You know, Montana is one of those places I've always wanted to go to. So that is on my list. We got folks here from East Shore of MD, Nevada, Reno, Nevada. Hey there, Reno. All over. Joshua put Lacey, Washington in all caps. Joshua is excited to be here. Hey, Joshua. I love it. I love it. Kentucky, South Carolina. Hey, Belinda. I'm from Walterboro, South Carolina. Have you ever heard of Walterboro? It's a little small town right outside of Charleston. Kelly in Maryland. We're so excited that so many of you all have come today. A lot of you all have been here for every single session. So I want to give a shout out to you and say thank you so much for being a part of the Intact community. We couldn't do this without you. So we are going to give folks just a couple more seconds to get into the space, to turn off those emails, put the phones aside so that we can all engage with one another. So we'll give it just a couple more seconds. Vancouver, hey there, in Vancouver. So excited to see everyone here today. And smiling faces, it's so nice. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started because the room is filling up. So if you are here in the space where we're going to talk about shifting from locking youth up to lifting youth up. This is a community of practice offered by the National Training and Technical Assistance Center for Child, Youth, and Family Mental Health, or INTACT for short. Just as a disclaimer, we are going to record this session so that it's available to you to watch later. Also want to let you all know that the views of our presenters and panelists today are the views of their own. They are not the views of INTACT or SAMHSA, which is our federal funder. So want to make sure that you all know that. Knock on wood, if you're by some wood, go ahead and knock on it for us. If there are any security issues, we will close this session and send you a separate email with instructions on how to log back in. But again, I am knocking on all the wood in my house that will not happen. Also wanted to share with you all, again, just welcoming you all to the space. So our community of practice is a little bit different, y'all. And yes, I say y'all, I'm from the South. But it's a little bit different. This is not your standard typical webinar. We are going to talk about and present some information and share some stories, but those stories are those of our panelists and our presenters. What we really want to dig into is what actions can we do in our own communities? What can we take away from this session to get to work on? So just know that we are going to have conversations, we're going to have dialogue, we're going to think together and work together. That is the purpose of the session today. And we're talking about specifically peer support programs in the Juvenile Justice Center. So really quickly, I'm going to give an overview of INTACT and who we are and what we like to do. We have several different partners from all across the U.S., just like you all are representing everywhere across really even beyond the U.S. So we have lots of different partners that help us to do the work that we're doing today. We're really excited to be working with them. We also provide just a variety of services, right? So we have podcasts and we have documents, 5 Things Digest. There's a whole list of things that we offer. So if you wanted to continue to engage with us, please make sure that you're a part of our listserv and that you are checking out our website regularly for updates. And then we'll drop in the chat where you can find, oh wait, it's right here on the slide. So on the slide where you can find us, online. And I don't know if y'all can see my background behind me, this big old Better Together. We are hosting a summit May 9th through 11th. It's virtual, it's no cost. We'll have awesome speakers and presenters, and we hope that you can come. So I'll make sure that you have the link for registration for that. So please continue to join us, continue to be a part of our community. On the next slide here, let's see what we'll be talking to you all about, the agenda. And I'm actually going to pass it over to our wonderful hostess with the mostest, Evelyn, to talk about our agenda for today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley, for that warm welcome. Hello, all. I'm Evelyn Clark, and I just want to say thank you for being here today. It's going to be an amazing panel discussion. We are going to start off with a land acknowledgement, a virtual land acknowledgement, and then we will introduce what peer support is, and we will then have our breakout groups with our discussion question. We are then going to watch a quick video from young people who are currently incarcerated at an institution in Washington State. And then we'll have our discussion panel with our amazing panelists today, and then we will sadly have to close out. All right, again, Evelyn Clark. I am a change consultant and racial equity trainer for the NTAC Center and Change Matrix, and I'm also a certified peer counselor. I don't practice anymore, but this role is near and dear to my heart. This is where this series came from, and I'm super excited because there are presenters today that I worked with and that get to share with you about the power of the peer support role within this system. So today's panelists, we have Tyus Reed, Muhamed Selavic, Waynette Brock, and Joshua Smith, and they are going to introduce themselves in more depth a little bit later. All right, so we're just going to take a minute to ground ourselves with a land acknowledgement this morning. Since our activities are shared digitally to the internet, let's also take a moment to consider the legacy of colonization embedded within the technology, structures, and ways of thinking we use every day. We are using equipment and high-speed internet not available in many Indigenous communities. Even the technologies that are central to much of the art we make leave significant carbon footprint, contributing to change in climate that disproportionately affect Indigenous peoples worldwide. I invite you to join us and acknowledge all of this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, and allyship. We also acknowledge that this country would not exist if it wasn't for the free enslaved labor of Black people. We honor the legacy of the Black life, knowledge, and skills stolen due to violence and white supremacy. While the movement for justice and liberation is building, we are witnessing the power of the people. Many are still being met with the violence and even being killed. Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of Black Indigenous ancestors who have passed and who have paved the way for us. Thank you all for being in this space today. All right, so here's our quick little video about what peer support is, and then we're going to dive in just a little bit deeper and talk about ways how we can implement this very vital role.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I have a lot going on. I work with a lot of professional people on my team. My therapist and psychiatrist, my foster care caseworker, and my teachers. They're all okay, but sometimes it feels like something is missing. There have been a lot of school meetings because I can't focus with all the stuff happening in my foster home and with court. I talked to my caseworker about it and she seems to understand, but then she starts talking about hearings and motions, whatever that means. My therapist and I talk about it too, but I can only see her in her office for an hour. It seems like everyone is speaking a foreign language at school meetings too. Like, what is an IEP anyway? Everyone asks me what might work for me, but I don't know and I freeze. I wish there was someone who had been through this before that could help me understand what's going on and help my team understand me better too.
Youth peer support providers use the power of relatability. Just kidding. Peer support providers aren't really superhuman, but they can be super helpful. They can talk with you about their lived experiences. Youth peers may give you some ideas or help you advocate for yourself.
Max and I wrote a list of things to try at school. Having Max's help to understand all of their jargony talk made me feel less nervous at my meeting. Having Max on my team now is pretty cool. He gets it because he's been through some of the same things. Besides meeting with me on his own and coming to my meetings, Max helped me find a youth group of other teenagers who are going through some stuff too. Now I don't feel like I'm the only one.
Max helped Taylor increase his knowledge about services being offered to him, inspired a sense of hope for the future, helped expand his social circle, and supported Taylor's ability to have his voice heard.
Thank you. I know that that was a quick little description, but I hope that a lot of you are familiar with peer support. And so we are going to help you in the breakout discussion. Each of the panelists will be in a room. All of them are certified peer counselors. And we are going to all discuss how can you implement peer support within the work that you do. All right, and we'll
If there's anyone in the main room, if you need help getting into the breakout room, just let me know.
I don't know how to do it.
All right, let's see. It looks like trying to find. At the bottom of your screen, you should see a button that says breakout rooms or the three dots. So you can go there and click on that and say to join. I've got you assigned to a room. All right, looks like she got in. If anybody else needs any assistance, let me know. If anybody in the main room, if you need assistance getting into your breakout room, just let me know.
Oh man, we were doing so well in our breakout group.
Right? There's always never enough time, right? It's like, oh man, people get cut off. Yeah,
We'll get right back to that.
I know, right? I love it. Yeah, ours it was a great networking actually. So there's going to be individuals that connect with one another and do the work. So that's what it's all about for sure. So please feel free to connect with one another. We really, the ideas come from all of your great work. So, all right, well, feel free to put in the chat, your thoughts around our discussion question. If you need any more assistance, we're here for you. I love that. Muhammad was great. Yeah, he's pretty great. Awesome. All right, so here we go. We're going to watch this quick video from young people who are at an institution here, Echo Glen Children's Center. And this is just really vital to the role of peer support, as you will hear from the young people from their experiences.
I want you to walk 1 mile, just one, in my shoes. I want you to see if they fit. I want you to know how I feel when I'm locked inside of my room.
I want you to understand my pain when I can't see my family and I miss my little brother.
I want you to know what I am capable of. My strength is playing sports and loving my family.
I want you to walk 1 mile, just one, in my shoes.
I want you to see the beauty
in
my life. I want you to know how I express myself. My words might seem aggressive and threatening,
but that's just the way we talk.
I want you to know my heart. My love is like a pot of gold, because I'll give as much as you need. But the moment that you mess it up, you won't have nothing. I want you to walk 1 mile, just one, in my shoes. Do they fit?
If not,
then maybe you can understand why I am the way I am.
Thank you. All right, well, to go along with that video, we are going to now get into our panelists and our Q&A. So I am going to welcome our panelists. If you guys can all share a warm welcome. I see them trickling on. Yay. All right, so Tyus, if you would like to start and introduce yourself, that would be great. Oh, you're on mute.
There you go. My role has changed a lot of different times. Originally I'm a youth advocate. I'll get into it with the first Q&A question, but Evelyn Clark was my first peer counselor, and just through peer support, peer support, like behavioral, mentally health wise, got me through, like I was locked up as a youth, went to big boy jail too, got me through all that. And then I kept intact with my peer counselor professionally wise. And, just the mental health and professional support. That's literally why I'm on this call here today. I recently took a job as the Tacoma Violence Intervention Specialist for the Reed Center out here in Tacoma. So, starting that new position and everything, this will be my 3rd position since being out of jail. Just involved in everything like this, all these panels, all these national conferences, out here in Washington State too. Tacoma's 30 minutes south of Seattle. I forget that not everybody here is from Washington. So yeah, I mean, I just been at it. I got the spark from my peer counselor. Started it while I was locked up, continued it while I was out, when I got out. And like I said, it started with mental and behavioral health support, and now it turned into professional support, which is the same. Because I mean, like I said, without, what I've been doing right now, who knows where I could have been. So I mean, me helping my community and helping youth and families has also helped me in it works both ways. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here with you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad.
All right. Congratulations, my guy. Always love. My name is Muhamed Selavic. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a peer support specialist. I have done a lot, right, in my life that was not right. And from that, I was able to get a lot of this stuff that we call lived experience. So I'm able to use it in my day-to-days now. I was formerly incarcerated for 7, almost 8 years. I went through the juvenile justice system, and I went through the Department of Corrections. I am currently now a manager at a warehouse. I manage a nonprofit, and yeah, that's about it. I do try to make sure I stay busy. I try to just stay focused. I get off legal stuff on the 15th, so kind of excited for that. No issues, no problems, no nothing. So that's just one step closer to where I want to be, and I'm glad to be here today. Thankful to be here today.
Muhammad, you have to share about the peer support program you started while you were incarcerated.
All right. So I created this program. It's called Deepen. Let me take that back. I didn't create it completely by myself, right? I used what I know today is called peer support. And we came together. I had the idea. I had the stuff. I had basically a blueprint. And together, collectively, we came together and we started putting ideas in there and putting it there. I came at it from an unbiased point of view. And I created this program at a facility I was kicked out of in 2016. And then they brought me back in 2021, when the law got passed called JR to 25, where they extended juvenile life to 25 years old. This is the first ever peer-to-peer mentoring program that was created in Washington State. It's called Made Men, and it's an acronym for Making a Difference Every Day. And Made Men peer-to-peer mentoring, in its first year of operation, it brought Green Hill School in Chehalis, Washington, down to an all-time low of violence. So Green Hill School is also known as Gladiator School. It's more violent than the Department of Corrections in many, many ways. And yeah, it's something where we're able to uplift each other. We were able to start accessing education, push for things in a more positive way, and get our needs met.
Thank you.
It's still in operation today, so they're about to start their next cohort.
Yes, awesome. All right, Waynette.
I'm so nervous. Good morning. It'll be a good day. Waynette Brock, and I'm Director of Online Training for the Copeland Center for Wellness and Recovery. Yeah, so, we provide technical assistance and also trainings. We have a particular program called Mentoring for Reentering, which is really geared around peer support. And it's a direct derivative of, before my role with the Copeland Center, I started a nonprofit. My husband and I provided services within the Department of Corrections for 10 years, every weekend. Being formerly incarcerated myself, we really wanted to just support individuals and we created a program called like 0 to 100. Like, why does it take, how do we go from 0 to 100 in 10 seconds and end up in some man's penitentiary? So it was really about getting to the root cause of why we choose to react versus respond. And end up losing our freedoms. So for the past 15 years, I've just been standing shoulder to shoulder with individuals, providing resources and services, direct services, so that people can move forward in life the way that they choose to. So there's 2 different things here. I do training and technical assistance, but also on the weekends, providing direct services. So I wear many hats, but I'm really just honored and privileged to be here and hold space with you all. It's been good conversations so far. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, we are so excited to have you. All right, last but not least, Josh.
Come on. Good morning, everybody. How we doing today? My name is Joshua Smith. I am a certified peer counselor, certified recovery coach here in Washington State. And I would say that, normally in my introductions, because I'm speaking to like a clinical team or a team of individuals who aren't peers, I'll say I come to this work through non-traditional pathways and education opportunities. But I think all of us have experienced those same pathways and opportunities and experiences because we're peers, right? So we share that. I'm really excited about that piece to just share space with you guys. I'm also a healing center engagement practitioner. I'm a part of the Office of Recovery Partnerships Committee Board. I'm a teen mental health first aid facilitator. I do a ton of stuff here in Washington State, but I think the most impactful thing that I do is I bring my authenticity, I bring my lived experience, and I show other people that we likely share more than we don't share, right? We likely relate to each other in some spaces that we had no idea how. And there's excitement and opportunity there. There's possibility, and let's lean in on that, right? So whether I'm talking about policy, whether I'm talking about next steps, right, in whatever program we're looking at, I think about that lived experience and that voice, right? That voice, that choice. And it doesn't always center with me. And I'd say 99% of the time it doesn't. And that's when you know you're doing the good work, right? So I'm really excited to be here. That's my intro. And I'll pass the mic, man. I'll keep it easy. Was that good?
Oh, amazing.
Come
Like,
on.
yes, it is an amazing panel. All right, you guys ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Wait, it's a no. You're doing amazing. Just pretend it's just us.
Easy.
Yes. All right. So,
Evelyn,
yeah.
if I may add, I forgot one very, very important thing, right? When we're talking about peer support, the way I learned about this, if y'all don't know, I'm pretty sure my guy Tyus isn't going to mind me sharing this part, but we were actually incarcerated together. We actually went through the system together, right? So we made a lot of mistakes together. And then funny thing was when they brought me back, Tyus was already out. Here comes Tyus walking in, and I'm seeing him in regular clothes. I'm like, I said, bro, what are you doing here? And he's all like, oh, I'm working. I said, what? And at this time, I think he was a WISE care coordinator. And man, he started breaking down to me that we could do this as a job, right? I was all like, what? I said, hold up. What? But it's beautiful. And I'm saying that because it's like the power of possibility, to learning all these different things and knowing that we can give back and we can support ourselves at the same time and give back to our community and give back to our brothers that are in there, that we come in there with, we kick it with all day, and make sure that they come on the same path that we're on. That's what this is all about. So that's how I learned about peer support, is Tyus. So that was the biggest thing, man. I just had to put that out there. I forgot to put that in earlier. And I was like, man, how did I forget that? That's like the connecting piece, you know? So
I learned from Evelyn. So it's just a tree. I learned from Evelyn, and everybody's learning from everybody, and that's just how we get down. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and that's the power of peer support, right? Actually, that's good that you mentioned that, Muhammad, because that's going to take us into our first question about just the power of this rule. I mean, we know in a perfect world, we would just get rid of this system all completely. We know from research that it is just more traumatizing, we're punitive and all these things. And so, and with that, that's not how it is right now, unfortunately. And so with peer support, we know that this role has helped young people and adults really in navigating how they can just get through, and then also navigating, like when I was saying around resources. And so can you guys just speak to the power of this role and how, peer support really impacted your life to get you on this path of you now giving back?
I just want to chime in first and foremost, because I was taking a few notes earlier when Tyus mentioned like doing the work is what kept him here doing the work, right? And I would offer that it's once an individual who has experience like me receives that little bit of empowerment, and I'm like, wow, my story is actually powerful. My story can actually be the blueprint of what not to do in some scenarios and be supportive of the people behind me. For me, I think that was the thing that unlocked peer support for me. I always valued my community. I always valued loyalty and support and all of the things that came with coming up in the environments that I did. But what I didn't realize is all of that was peer support, just with different values sprinkled on top of it. And how can I uplift my community now? And it's through this process, right? Like I learned my first Hispanic curse word through a peer. I learned how to tie my shoe through a peer. I learned what my favorite foods are through my peers, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna offer that. I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, I'll go real quick. I mean, you know, basically what Muhammad and broke it down. I mean, that's it right there. And like, you know, as I'm pretty sure everybody on this call knows, it's not always gonna be that easy. It's not always gonna be like Tyus meets Evelyn, and Tyus meets Muhammad and Muhammad. You know, it's not always gonna be like that. But you know, I just look at it like this. You know, I use analogies like, you know, when I was going through it, and I mean, Evelyn, she'll tell you, it wasn't even easy for me. I mean, it took a couple of years for me to really start listening to what Evelyn was talking about. The great Evelyn, you know, she's on this call now, but me being 17, it took me a couple of years to really sit it down and really, you know, get it through my 17-year-old head. But I mean, you know, it's just like an open door opportunity, you know, and it's a support. And like, I look at it as somebody crutching you through the door. You know, we're not gonna, or not crutching you, we're gonna have the door open for you. You know, here's the door, here's the opportunity. I mean, it's here. Opportunity, you know, is for everybody. Everybody has opportunity, but you know, it's up to you if you want to take advantage of it. And if you do want to take advantage of it, we're gonna go 110% to help you. You know, that's how I look at peer support. And then that's what Evelyn did for me. You know, even when, like I said, I wasn't listening, sticking to it. Not every conversation is about peer counseling. Sometimes she's just asking how my grandmother's doing, how my family's doing, how I'm doing, and stuff like that. And like I said, it started on a mental behavioral health level, and I got out and it turned into a professional, which is why I'm on the call with you guys. This is my peer counselor from years ago. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's not always going to be a perfect story. You know, even if somebody you're dealing with or family or anybody, they don't want to do this, you know, they don't want to get into this, or they maybe thought they did, and that's cool too. It's just support. You know, you don't have to be a peer counselor to get my support, to get my love, to get my energy. You know, that's just the best way I could put it. You know, just really love and belief and support. You know, a lot of people can accomplish a lot of things with that. And you know, coming from my communities or the community I come from, that's not really, you know, it's sprinkled in some places, and then sometimes the support might be the wrong way. Their support might, you know, be the wrong type of support. It's still support, you know what I'm saying? I always talk about like the gang life and stuff like that. There's actually like, it may be controversial, but there's actually not good things about gangs, but like qualities about like brothership, loyalty, you know, I mean, some of these dudes would be like great at Navy SEALs or Army Rangers if like, you know, went into that type of field. But you know, people with that, you know, type of support around them, you gotta fine tune it, and you gotta just, you know, yeah, just fine tune your skills and stuff like that. So thank you for sharing, or thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
If I may add on to that, right? When he's speaking about these gangs and that kind of stuff, these individuals who are involved in any type of gang, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, they're very, very intelligent individuals. They are not pushing around something that doesn't mean nothing, right? They are immaculate with their words, all right? Let me tell you what, their vernacular is spectacular, okay? They learn how to get into your mind. They learn how to do all these things because they truly believe in it. They truly believe in what they're doing, and when they talk about it, it can create a sense of motivation and inspiration in these youth. So I highly respect anyone who's involved in anything like that, because I know firsthand how deep it can get and how much it can affect you in a positive or a negative way. Because the messages they are conveying and that they are portraying are very positive if you look at it from their point of view, which is what they get you to do. But once you sit there and you brush the sand off your eyes and you see things for what they are, I myself thought I was a piece on that chessboard. Come to find out, I wasn't a pawn. Man, I wasn't even a board, right? I wasn't even on the board. I was like somewhere else, and someone else was just, moving something around. But the messages that they give out is the same thing that we're doing. I'm not saying we're a gang, not at all. We don't do that, right? But the passion that we come with is the same passion that they came with, that I grew up seeing, right? And I was like, oh, I want to do this. The gang that I was from, I was Norteño, right? And what they portrayed to me was unity, helping others, brotherhood, right? They call it carnalismo. So it's like that kind of stuff. All these different things, there was a positive message. So at the very beginning, I see myself, I was a positive person. Now the things that I were doing were very negative. Now I know that, but at that point in time, I thought they were positive. Now I understand that they're negative because I see things in a different way. I live my life in a different way, right? I am against gangs, but I respect them. I respect them because I know where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that I have to add to that.
Yeah. And I would even say that that's what qualifies you to be that credible messenger, right? So, and Muhamed, you mentioned earlier, you were the first you created the first peer-to-peer mentoring program, and it brought Green Hill School to an all-time low in violence, and it's remained so since, right? I was speaking to a resident there who happens to be on an opposing gang than you historically have been, right? And they had the most positive things to say about you and the work that you brought into Green Hill, right? Because of your credibility, because of your understanding of processes and how to translate needs, how to translate behaviors, right? I think that your impact has been beyond measure within the juvenile rehabilitation space. And it is because of that experience, right? It's because of your understanding. So it's good. It's good.
If I may answer a question in the chat and then follow up on that, right? The question in the chat was, how did the facility receive the information when you wanted to create the peer support? And was I supported by the agency? So yes, I was supported. When they received the information, they looked at me like I was crazy, right? Not literally, but they were like, you really think you can do this type thing? Because they had been working on it with these professionals and all these people with all these doctorates and MBAs and all these things, right? And I looked at them and I said, I think I could do it, right? I think I got this. So my history, when I got kicked out for 47 consecutive fights. I've been involved in weapon assaults. I've been involved in riots and that kind of stuff. I got kicked out of Green Hill School for being highly gang involved and interacting in all those little functions and all those things. I did all that. So coming back, and then it didn't change right away in the DOC system. So when I did come back, they don't have an IMU anymore, but they have an IMU, if that makes sense, right? They don't call it the hole no more. They just call it a living unit that's in the other side. It's called Willow, right? And this might be blowing some stuff up, but I went up in there and they had one group in one wing, another group in another wing, and a third group of mixed individuals in the third wing. So they're sitting inside this thing called an IMU, and I'm like, all right, how do I get them out of there? They told me that these people can't program around individuals from rival gangs. I said, okay, cool. Well, I'm a dropout, right? So if they can program with me, which they're not supposed to at all in any way, shape, or form, then what you're saying is wrong, and you have to change it. So part of me, I'm thinking, okay, how is this gonna go, right? But really, I went up in there, and there was one wing that sadly, it didn't work out, right? They did not want, they spoke up and said very clearly that something would happen, right? So I said, okay, I'm not going to put them in a position where they're going to continue hurting themselves. So boom, I said, okay, next wing. The next wing was actually full of former rivals. They all looked at me like, who in the hell is this dude? And I went in there and I told them straight up. I said, look, I'm not telling you to change who you are. I'm not telling you to change what you do. I'm not telling you nothing. What I want to tell you is to make yourself an asset. The more of an asset you create of yourself, the less of a liability you will be. And they said, all right. They started listening to me like, oh, okay, well, what are you talking about? I said, you guys want to be stuck down here all day? Like, no, I said, this is what we got to do. If you can show and demonstrate that you know how to be around other people and you know how to be, you can function, do all this, we can start accessing education, accessing the gym. We can start accessing different resources that are not available to you down here, right? And being stuck in a box, and it's like, there's 9 rooms. The wing, that's what they're called. The wings are like, man, what would you say, like 40 feet? Roughly 40 feet? That, yeah, it's nothing. There's no lighting, and it's super dark. It sucks. This tan that I got right now, this is my fluorescent light tan. I still ain't got, I can't shake it yet. You know what I mean? That is there. So it was the part, man, where I went in there and they responded to me in a way where they're like, all right, man, like, you're saying you can help us, let's work together. And that's the peer support right there. That was like the epitome of peer support right there. I just came in there and told them straight up, man, I did 3 years and 9 months in IMU. That is still IMU. I know what that does to you up here. I know how bad it messes your mind up. And not many people make it out of there. Not many people come out the same way. Not many people come out speaking the same way. Some people come out and they don't even know how to talk to anyone. They get released from these environments back into communities, and then people wonder why they continue to make mistakes, because you never gave them an opportunity to be around other individuals, to let them grow and learn how to actually talk to more than 12 people in their life. You know what I mean? So that part. Long-winded, my bad, but I had to add that.
No. That is, you spoke to a lot in there without saying, but it's healing. Peer support is healing. Again, as we were saying earlier, unfortunately, this system in particular has a lot of work to do with changing mind frames that you guys deserve help, you know, that you guys also have trauma and from the beginning, from, you know, before you were incarcerated, that led you guys up and changing that narrative that that young people who hit this system, they're not dangerous, they're not bad, they've experienced things probably more than any of us on the call, right? And so that trauma that comes with that, and it's the why that has happened. And I wanted to kind of shift gears around that to speak to that healing part of this role, right? If we can implement more peer support, it really does set the journey for young people to you know, start their healing journey. So Waynette, I wanted to call on you for some light around that topic, and just to speak to how you implement it. I mean, you're really the OG on this panel, right? And so I want you to speak to, you know, the amazing work that you have done and beyond. Like, you are following not just young people, but adults, because these young people turn into adults, right? Tyus is not the 17-year-old that I met. Like, he's, I think, 25, and I still have a hard time thinking like, no, he's still 17. But anyway, so yeah, so if you could just kind of shed some light. You talked about what you do now, and I just, everyone needs to know. So
there's lots of different moving pieces. Thank you so much, Evelyn. You know, peer support as it's been framed to date did not exist. I had to create that for myself, right? And I have a whole different perspective, because I really needed to be incarcerated and sit down and be with myself to figure out what I was doing, because violence was my drug. Violence was my drug choice. Because if you hurt my feeling, right, the root cause, and that's why it's like getting to the root cause of why we react versus respond, right? And it's like, I needed to sit down for a minute. I did all that. I can own my part in things. And I was when I was in there, I was in there with people that had done heinous crimes. Right? The Manson chicks, like I was saying earlier, you know, I talked to Susan and Linda, I'd be like, what happened? What'd you do? What happened? What? Because I got questions. I'm very inquisitive. So those were the conversations that I had. Women that had done horrific things to their children. A juvenile that got sentenced as an adult because she didn't get her way and killed her stepmother. You know, entitlement issues. So it's like getting to the root cause and having those conversations. It's not just one thing. It's each and every individual has a different experience and a different story that gets us to where we end up, right? Is there hope? Yes. Is there healing? Yes. But I had to be willing to take a look at myself, my behaviors, and my actions, right? And own that and then move forward. Self-forgiveness, right? It's like, I'm not a bad person. I made bad decisions because I was in so much pain, but that's not an excuse, right? That's just the reality of the situation. So I really had to sit with myself and first and foremost connect with myself and support myself and figure out, you know, what was my need? What is the need? What does support look like? Support is to hold up, to help carry the load, right? So we're talking about humans supporting humans. And I just had to figure that out for myself. And then when I was released, I had to build that. I had to find it. I had to find it for myself. Because this wasn't, we're talking 30 years ago. None of this was happening, right? And it's still not happening in California. I'm so excited to be able to hopefully move this forward in a different kind of way, because we don't have CPS, we don't have youth, we don't have those specialties yet. So I'm really looking forward to that. But you know, what works well in what I do is just not having preconceived notions about what any of the people I serve need, but being willing to have a difficult conversation and not be the expert. I don't know what people need unless they tell me, right? So I don't come in with these preconceived notions about, oh, they must need housing, oh, they must have trauma, they must have this, I can't, because that creates a barrier and I'm not hearing and listening. Yeah. It's like, what is the need? How can I support you? And then I have to be able to build a framework and resources to fill the gap and build bridges, right? And standing, it's like for 15 years, I don't check a box. I work with and mentor these people, 750 for 15 years. I don't check a box and it's not a one and done thing. It's an ongoing process, and it's a lifetime commitment that I've made to not leave anyone behind, right? Yeah, because there's challenges, there's barriers, but what are the resources and supports that are needed to get through that, right? Wow. So that's my TED Talk.
Yes, mic drop for sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Very heartfelt. I think that, you know, in all the years, well, I have not been a part of the movement as long as you have. I was certified in 2012, and that has really been, as we explore the role, it is a relationship-based service, right? It really is about connecting on that level. And I think too, is that we all have lived experience, but it's completely different, right? Like, I had certain privileges because, you know, I'm white passing. And so, you know, when I met Tyus, it was like, I did not experience, I was not charged as an adult at 17. I could not, you know, necessarily say I get it, but I could be in a space with him and just be, right? And just listen, as you said, allowing them to just be who they are. You know, you look, you know, you see sometimes, you know, what they're coming in for, and you just bring in coloring sheets, right? And just sit there with them and be able to just again, just be who they are, and that you see a different side. And it is, sometimes it's hard because systems again see, unfortunately, people who commit crimes, you know, as bad and all these things. And as peer supports, we have to advocate. We have to advocate for the role. We have to advocate for who we work with. And so I think that kind of leads us into, I would love to get more questions from the audience and just have you guys talk with them, because I know that there's so much that we could be doing, how to implement this role, where does the funding come from, all of these wonderful things. So I don't know if there are questions in the chat, because I've not been keeping track, but if anybody would like to come off mute and ask our panelists some questions, that would be great.
Yeah, Evelyn, let's pass it over to Michelle Cunningham. She had her hand raised earlier. So Michelle, you still have some questions or a question?
Thank you, Ashley. I actually have one for each one of the panelists. So this one, the first one will go to Muhamed. As far as your gang support, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and we have a pretty high significant of youth that are involved as far as some type of affiliation. And we, as a result of that, we see a lot of gun-related incidences and gun-related deaths, and that's kind of what we're trying to focus specifically on as far as supports to help those youth. So how do you break free from the activities that you may or may not have been involved in, if you were affiliated, but still find what they offer through another way? What kind of advice would you give to kiddos?
Ooh, let me answer this real quick. Let me tell you a little bit about Northwest Credible Messengers, right? Let me tell you about this right now. So my guy, Jason Clark, he is phenomenal, right? The work that we do with Credible Messengers it goes deep. It's based off a healing-centered engagement approach. And in a nutshell, what we do is we provide culturally relevant information, and the experts that are speaking are experts with lived experience. The programming that we do is we try to capitalize on the leadership skills that they have, because they're all leaders. We try to tap into that. The activities that we do include a lot of stuff that range from fishing, hiking. Sometimes we're sitting down, we're reading, you know, it's a variety of things. Not one activity is going to get everybody, right? So it's being able to be diversive and get people involved as much as possible. But at the same time, don't push it, right? You got to let them want to be there. We provide food, number one. You know what I mean? If you're going to feed me, then it's going to get a little bit better when we talk, right? But no, I love this, man. That question right there, that's what we do, you know? And I brought up Credible Messengers because they're everywhere. So, and I know that just to help you find an answer and a solution to that, if you reached out to Jason Clark or Johnny Chang from Northwest Credible Messengers, they also are a part, and CM3 is a national organization ranging from the East Coast to the West Coast. So I know somewhere in between that we'll be able to find a solution and put things together.
For sure, for sure. And I would just follow Muhamed with the main things that I'm looking for when I'm 14 and 15 and I have gang ideations. I'm not sure if I'm a Norteño or a Crip because of the way my family's structured, right? But I do know that I'm searching for community. I'm searching for leadership opportunities. I'm searching for more community, right? I'm searching for the individuals who are celebrating my voice and how I understand things to be true, right? I'm looking for the all of those community pieces, but the ones who also offer those resources, like who are the individuals that are providing for me, right? And sometimes that might be like whatever it might look like on one side of the law versus on the other side of the law, where we're trying to aim all of our things to go. Like I see in the chat, respect, right? I get respect from my hood and from my people in a way that I don't receive at home, right? But how can we design community programs that are built around respect, that are built around community and leadership opportunity, experiential learning? I would say those are the things that drew me to gang affiliation and propelled me into doing this work that we're doing at the same time. You know, I see Tyus, you have your hand up.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to throw in my little 2 cents in that one. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everybody said. What Josh said really stuck out. So like I said, like I'm all for behavior. I mean, that's where me and Evelyn's report started, behavioral mental health, lighthearted conversation, not really digging too deep, just building that report and building that, connection. But I'm just gonna be honest, what's been most helpful in my life and like doing this work, now that I'm on the other side of the fence, is like resources, because like, Crip starts to mean a lot less to a kid if he got a car note, if he got a job, he's on his way to get his first apartment. I mean, that gang stuff starts to just like, that you start, and you're dealing with these youth that are teenagers transitioning into young men and young women. So like, it's just really easy to throw it all away when you have nothing. You know what I'm saying? And like, definitely first that has to be addressed is like the mental and behavioral health aspect. But I mean, literally, like when I went to jail at 17, and if I go to jail now, I can't. I mean, I got car notes, bills, rent. I mean, like, I got too much going on. I can't. 17, I didn't have not a thing going on. So, like that's just what it was. And just I've seen a lot of resources, just impact, and it makes you want to do better. And a lot of times, man, when you're doing bad in life, it can affect your mental health. That could be the effect. You lost your job, you're whatever happened, and you're dealing with that, and now your mental health is spiraling out of control because of your life isn't put together right, and your foundation isn't set up right. And especially with youth that we're talking about, I see a lot of people working probation coming out of jail and stuff like that. I mean, they're starting from zero. I mean, even worse than zero, in the negatives. If you're coming out of jail, you're digging out of a hole. You just spent all that money I could go on and on, but you're not starting from zero. You're starting in a hole. So, I just seen resources literally change people's mental and behavioral health just by having stuff and having things and having something to lose and not wanting to lose that. So if that helps you answer it a little.
Yeah, and then Josh, I'm going to follow up with you. So in going back to the school aspect, still keeping with the same population that I'm trying to serve, as far as the boundaries that you have, or the barriers, I should say, with the school systems, if you have a record or if you have any type of, justice involvement, they tend to frown on having you come and speak to the youth. And that's kind of where we know that we have to be able to meet them where they are. And most of the young youth are in school. So how would you recommend having conversations, or what kind of push can you give me to maybe take back in our community of, this is the reason why it's important to be able to bring people with lived experience into the school settings where the kids are, to actually talk to the youth in their setting and put a face that's like theirs in front of them, that can talk to them, that there's other opportunities for them than maybe on the path that they're already projecting, and to help build some type of resiliency before they become adults and then they're into an adult system, versus maybe, the juvenile justice system, but also fighting up against a school system that has rules and, restrictions of people that have backgrounds coming in and actually speaking to those youth.
Okay, that's such a great question, and something that we're all pushing to change within our systems, right? What I heard is, how can we get buy-in from our staff who don't necessarily see the value there? And feel free to clarify if I'm wrong there. And then how do I also build excitement around the group that are would-be peers, hoping that they would become peers and mentors. And I think that the biggest piece that I deal with right now is education, right? How can I educate staff where they understand what peer support is, right? Understand that they too have lived experience, right? And they have possibly walked through the same pathways that a lot of our youth that we're serving have gone through, right? I often remind our staff, like, hey, who was the person that kind of reframed your values or redirected you from peeing on the electric fence to doing other next level teenage young adult things, right? There was someone in your life that you could point to that That was that person, and they might have not changed your entire life, but they might have modeled what that looked like to you. So I like to remind staff often that we all have lived experience. We all could have been in these same situations given the right circumstance and environment. And there was someone in our life that changed that, right? Now let's focus on who that person was. That person was likely someone who's built relationship with you, who shares experience and environments with you, but might not have a squeaky clean record themselves. And that's why you trust them. So how are we doing it in our communities? And how are we missing that mark in our systems? Okay, it's the people that we break bread with. It's the people that we know have gone through the same experiences with us. It's people who we know have lived off of EBT cards, and around the end of the month, we're trying to make all the things happen, right? It's sharing those experiences and highlighting those shared experiences, how we can get staff buy-in to be like, yes, I actually experienced that, or I have a family member that every time we go over there, it's absolutely that, and I see it now, right? Just making it relatable, being that relatable resource is really impactful. And a lot of what I do is that education and presentations and asking those questions to make people be like, oh, ooh, I actually do remember when I was 13 and I was kicking trash cans and I broke some windows down at the mill. And luckily I didn't get caught, but someone else probably did get caught, and now they're suffering those consequences. So how do we support that person who's making the same decisions that I was, right? I hope that was a little bit close to your answer.
It was. That was like the biggest barrier of trying to get into the schools is the buy-in with the systems.
Oh my gosh, it's the buy-in and getting them to understand why it's important to have Muhamed Selavic run the groups, why it's important to trust Muhamed Selavic, right? Here's a quick story. Muhamed and I walked into a local high school and said, hey, we have this wonderful opportunity for you to receive awesome curriculum, awesome meals every Tuesday and Thursday. They get access to these resources. And the staff was looking at us like, ooh, like, I don't know if I could refer people to your program. And we could see it on their faces. So what we've done so far is we built the visibility, right? We've taken the video, we've included all of the partners that have taken the chance and taken the risk to partner with us, and we highlight that and we champion that, and we give the high schools like FOMO, like, man, Muhamed's killing it. How do we get more? How do we get that? So highlighting the wins, building visibility on where it is happening and the successes, and education. So I'll lead up the whole meeting.
And I wanted to, Michelle, I know these conversations are amazing. These questions are great. You need to join our next panel because that was good questions. I do want to make sure that we are opening the floor to other folks who also have questions, if that's okay, Michelle. If we have more time, we'll come back around to the other questions that you might have. I see there's a question in the chat that how might you support young adults who are very much tied to values and a lifestyle that, oh goodness, my screen jumped. Okay, values and a lifestyle that kept them alive in prison, but in so many ways no longer serves them now that they are out. What might you say or do to encourage healing after years in the system now that they're out, especially when there is resistance? Waynette, I see that you put a response there. I don't know if you want to kick us off with responding to those questions.
Yeah,
I did. What did I put?
Oh, that's okay. Well, maybe I misread that. Sorry, but whoever would like to respond, Muhamed. Yeah.
Yeah. That question right there, that's first and foremost, that is an amazing question, right? Because that's the truth, right? How do we do that? How did I do it? I received support because I can speak on this. I was just released last year in January 21st, actually, to be specific. So I've been out of incarceration in the free world for over a year now, right? And what I learned and what I needed, right? So this entire time I was creating that process so I can give back again, is that I needed someone to listen to me, right? I needed somebody that I could trust, that I knew wasn't gonna just get rid of me and that kind of stuff. I also needed someone that could help me figure out these things in the real world, like taxes, tire changes, oil changes, you name it, right? Insurance, like, hold up, I don't got state insurance no more. What? No, you're too old. Oh, shucks, right? So that kind of stuff. Actually being able to be encouraged to do self-reflection, to be able to look at myself and do mirror work and look at myself from an unbiased point of view, looking at me like, all right, Muhammad, what are you doing that's wrong? What are you doing that you can improve yourself on, right? Working with the people that are helping me, making sure that I'm being transparent, that I'm communicating my side, that if I'm having a bad day and I'm just shrugging things off, right? Am I suppressing my emotions? Am I pushing things down? Or am I actually being transparent and forthcoming with all the information that I have so they can try to help me find that solution that's going to give me the best results, right? And the last piece that I wrote here is when encountering resistance, right, from that youth or from when I gave resistance, right, I would acknowledge the individual's feelings, right, validate their experiences and never shame them, like never put that down. That is their experience. You can't tell them they're right and they're wrong because that is their experience, okay? That's theirs, that's valuable beyond measure. So I would also remind them of their own goals and their values and also their achievements that they've made along the way and how those achievements they've made align with the goals that they've made, right? Sometimes you get a little, man, this world's moving at 1,000 miles per hour. It's not that in the box type situation where you can see everything coming. It's moving very fast. And sometimes you get overwhelmed and you can't think straight. And you just got to realize that, you know, sometimes someone just needs that reminder, like, hey, man, you're doing this, you're doing that, like, you're doing good. You know, I see you're thinking about up there, but in the moment, you're doing great. So, and just remind them of the, you know, the goals that they set in the beginning, like with Credible Messengers, what we do at General Purpose is we start a goal planning sheet in the very beginning. And that's what we always fall back to. We fall back to those goals that we set in the beginning of the entire program. Like, hey, man, like this is what we said we were going to do. This is what you've been doing. And so far you've achieved this, this, and this. Like you're on your way to actually completing that, right? And number one thing, never forget to celebrate their success. Always, any chance you get, I'm talking about, oh, the way you walked up to say, yeah, let's go. You know, you're doing great. Like, push them up, man. Put them on a pedestal. Because there's so many people in this world today that don't get to hear how good they're doing, or that they're doing a good job, or that they're great people, or that they're funny, or that they're caring. Like, always promote and uplift the people you are around. Because you don't know how much those little words go a long way.
Yeah. So Ashley, now I know what you're talking about. So thank you, Muhammad. So I'm just going to piggyback on this real quick. So similar to what Muhammad was, you know, saying, I work with people to look at lifestyles, look at goal setting. And I don't know what changes first. It's different, I believe, for every individual. If the behavior changes first and then the thought process changes, or if the thought process changes and then the behavior changes. So we do it all. It's different for every person, but really getting people to set goals and achieve goals while they're incarcerated so that it becomes second nature. So we really create detailed plans. And then when they're released, you know, the plans change, but I have them do 30, 60, 90, 1 year, because, you know, we work with people that I'm still working with lifers, right? So it can be anywhere from 36-month sentences to 3 months, you know, out the gate. But really just getting people in a place where, you know, they're doing these things and validating themselves. Again, I put that thing in the chat about respect. I dismantle that as soon as I walk in because people die over the definition I was disrespected. And I was raised a little differently. I was raised by a grandfather who said, as long as I'm respecting myself, no one has the power to disrespect me. So I grew up with that, right? So like looking at that, how we define respect and an unrealistic expectation of people having to meet that definition, right? And then we feel some kind of way, getting to the root cause of why when people don't behave the way we think they should behave, we feel some kind of way and then we act out, right? So
Yeah.
again, there's all, it seems really simple, but there's complexity within the simplicity of what we do. Right. And it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of work
Love
for
that,
these
Waynette.
things to become second nature upon release. And then things change because again, the world is changing. To Muhammad's point, everything's moving so fast. Things change. So sometimes we have to have plans within plans, but I have to be willing to support them in their endeavors towards moving forward in whatever way, whatever that looks like for the individual. And it's different for each and every person. So we self-funded, we provide the housing, the reunification, the marriage and family therapy, whatever it is the individual needs, we provide those services to them. But again, it's not like you got to go to this or you got to go to that. Choices and options, no final answers here. You tell me. And then we build a plan on how you're going to support yourself in showing up to get this stuff done. And the behavior changes, right?
Awesome.
And there's different support because people really just want to connect. My bottom line is people want to be loved and accepted as they are for what they are without trying to be changed. Humans humaning. It's just that simple. But again, it's a complex process that it happens over time, not overnight. So
I
people
love
have
that,
their own
Waynette.
answers. They got their answers.
Thank
I don't
you.
have the answers for that. It's like we
Thank
walk in like
you.
we got answers for people. I ain't got no answers for nobody. I'm expert on nobody but me. So, and they know what they need. So I can't walk in thinking I know what's best for anybody.
Right.
And I'm really passionate about this stuff because we're dealing with people's lives, right? Let them tell us and listen and be okay with it. And don't attach yourselves to outcomes. It's going to be what it's going to be. People are going to do what they do till they don't. But again, with support, people can do whatever it is that needs to be done because they just want to not feel alone.
Wow. So many powerful gems in that, Waynette. And we have time for maybe like one or two more questions. So there's a question here in the chat. What advice would you give for providers who are trying to work with youth, specifically teenagers, who are not wanting to quote unquote hear what you have to offer? What approaches finally work for you to hear what others are trying to give in times you were needing it and just didn't want it at the time? So it was asked to Tyus, but so Tyus, if you want to kick us off and maybe if others want to chime in.
Yeah, that's kind of, that's kind of similar to the last one. So how would you help providers that they don't want to hear it? So, I mean, I've had that, and I'm not going to try to be too long-winded. So I had that, my first job, I'm the youngest person out of all my coworkers. So, I mean, if any youth peers are on this call, I'm sure you guys feel me, not providers, youth. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure you feel me. I had this weight on my back. I'm like, man, every single youth they put in front of me, I have to connect with. I mean, and it was hundreds and hundreds. And I'm just like, and I was going back into the jails. Okay. I used to be locked up. So I'm the only one. And, like I said, all my coworkers are much older than me. So I started I'm like, man, I have to connect. I have to connect. But then, like I said, it got to be hundreds and hundreds of age groups and genders. And even though okay, this youth is in jail and I was in jail at one point, I mean, me and this youth, we come from two different backgrounds. And I forgot to mention, I do the statewide shadow training, statewide peer counselor training now. And one of the things I took from that is open-ended questions. And Evelyn, I learned it from my own experience, just asking open-ended questions. And I know there's a couple wraparound people on here. I mean, we all got to do assessments. We all have to get the youth and families into whatever program we're working for. And it usually involves an assessment in the beginning. But, if you could just build a report, open-ended questions, even if you don't understand what they're talking about, really genuinely try to understand what they're talking about, support, even if you don't support it, just try to understand or try to see where they're coming from. I mean, we don't always have to agree. And, I just try to bring that human aspect into it, especially with doing assessments, especially with asking those clinical questions and just switching around the language so that I could still get the right answer. But I'm asking in a different way so they understand. Because, I remember back when I had 20 different counselors. I was at 20 different desks they're asking me all the same stuff. I started mixing up answers just to mess around because this is like the 19th person that's asking me this, and I'm probably never gonna see them again. So, stuff like that. It's all individual based. It's all your skill. And then one thing I just have to say with the last question, what kind of ties into this question, people, the youth that got these values and stuff like that, listen, I still listen to some type of music, and I still dress a certain way. I still go out and have fun. But the best way I can say that is to help those youth is to really be really detailed focused, like she was saying, and to be very like specific. And we're not gonna be here with you. You're gonna have to make a decision. You're gonna have a option to do bad and to do good. And I'm not gonna be here. There might not be nobody with you. And then you gotta find it in yourself to make that good decision. And these values that you hold on to, I believe sometimes you do gotta change. Some people say you don't gotta change yourself. Some things you gotta change. This is my personal belief. Some things I had to change to be on this call with you here today. Like I had to, because I've learned from other people's mistakes, and I know where that road leads. I know where it goes. So if I don't want to go down there, I have to change this either a value, these actions, this way of thought. I have to change that process in myself. And when I'm speaking to them, I just I say, hey, you don't got to take these clothes off. You don't got to stop listening to this music, but just be aware. If you got these certain types of clothes on and you're at a bar and somebody comes and confronts you because of how you're dressed, that's a real thing that might happen. And you got to be ready for that. Are you going to go and do what you used to do? Or are you going to be a changed person and handle it in a changed way? And that's what it comes down to. Our job is to work ourselves out of a job, right? So whatever program we're doing, we want them to graduate and get going and be successful in life far after us. But you got to get them. It's easier said than done. But I think you got to get them ready for when I'm not going to be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. I think that's all the questions in the chat, Evelyn. So I'm gonna pass the mic back over to you, but I wanted to let y'all know that I so much appreciate every single last one of the panelists. This is not the last time that y'all gonna hear from them. I got y'all emails, so keep an eye on your emails because I'm gonna be writing y'all for the next opportunity that we can bring to the group. Evelyn, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If we could give our panelists a virtual hand applause, that would be amazing. Yay. Thank you so much for being here. Again, this whole series means a lot, and we are doing it for the young people and for those who have been formerly incarcerated. And so we next month will have family peer support. And so what really brings it together is really engaging families for young people who are involved and even adults. And so we really hope you can be there. If you need the recordings from the future sessions, please let us know. We will send that to you. And just to leave us with this quote to ponder on is, those closest to the problem are closest to the solution and further from power and resources. So again, this is why peer support is vital to have in all of these systems. And yeah, again, thank you for being here. We have some pretty exciting events that I will pass back to Ashley to share. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. So please make sure that you register for the System of Care Summit. It's no cost. It's going to be an amazing group of speakers. I'm actually going to ask our panelists today if they'll join us again for the summit. So hopefully they will. So please make sure to register for that. I dropped the link in the chat. And also we have a youth and young adult support space, or YES. Or leaders who work with peers and have peer support within their organizations, or maybe they don't. We meet monthly with leaders like you all. So we encourage you to please attend that peer support space. We'll drop a link in the chat for that. That's every month. This is not the end of this series, so we hope to continue to see you all next month. And we appreciate you helping us to build this community. So thank you, and thank you so much for being here with us today. Oh, I forgot. Oh, one last thing. I totally forgot for the folks who are still here. We are raffling off a book called Burning Down the House. We're going to have a book discussion with the author, Nell Bernstein, as well. This is a book that talks about best practices, things that are happening across the US, that it's all around, let's dismantle this system that is putting young kids in prisons and jails, and let's uplift them and make sure we give them the resources and support that they need. So this is an incredible book. We are raffling it off. For those who finish the survey and complete the survey, you will automatically be entered into the raffle for this book and an opportunity to meet the author and have a conversation with her. So that is it. Thank you all so much for being here today. We appreciate you.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Love, man. Y'all keep your head up. Have a good day.
Later.